We just got done doing some stropping on the CPM M4 knife, but again, there's a little bit of micro damage there. We'd be best to go ahead and use some waterstones to get that damage out completely. But don't kid yourself, man. This thing is incredibly sharp. Alright? So I'm saying there's damage on here, but you can see just how incredibly sharp that is. But in order to get it so it cuts smoothly without some of these hang-ups in here, gotta just definitely have to take it to a high grit stone. But again, like I'm saying, don't kid yourself. This knife is very, very sharp. But we want this thing much sharper. So I'm thinking we go ahead and start with a let's do a Chosera stone. Let's do the 3K stone. So here's our 3K. Go ahead and settle that in the water here for just a bit. Let me go ahead and grab my flattening stone. Oh, get that out of the way here. Here we go. I got my Naniwa stone, and then I got my flattening stone here, so let's also put that in the water as well. Alright, again, these are really just kind of splash and go stones. So what you saw right there was almost just overkill for this stone in particular. Go ahead and flatten, just a little bit of routine maintenance on this thing. By using this stone flattener right here instead of the diamond, I kind of get more longevity out of the stone. And this kind of just keeps high spots from developing. So if you want precision on your water stones, then you have to keep them flat. Now if you're like God mode, you could sharpen on the entire stone. But I find in practice it's much harder. It's much harder than it looks to sharpen with the entire stone and wear the entire stone evenly. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll leave some of this slurry here on the stone because that'll actually help polish the edge as well. So we'll just use light pressure. Again, to find your angle on your Melanica, you have to lay it flat, lift it slightly, and that's basically where your angle is at. So just using some light pressure. The Chosera stone is a magnesia bonded ceramic water stone. So the ceramic should be able to cut the 4% vanadium, 5% tungsten, and the 3% molybdenum inside of the CPM M4. Actually, I think M4 has close to 4% of the molybdenum. I'd have to double check. Alright, there we go. I'm going to switch sides, check my bevel here. Looks good. Looks like I've gotten actually a lot of that damage out. Again, when you're maintaining your knives in order to keep the longevity of your knife, you want to go ahead and use a high grit water stone. The Naniwa M4 is definitely a really high-end knife, so you want to take good care of it, man. It's like a Ferrari, dude. It's going to take a little bit more maintenance, a little bit more understanding of how this knife kind of works. Alright, let's go ahead and clean the edge off there. Let's see what I have here. Alright. So it looks like most of the damage was taken care of. I know what some guys out there are thinking, oh dude, that knife's got some damage, dude. Thing's garbage. What you don't realize is that the thickness of this knife is actually 0.010 behind the edge. Now most of your pocket knives are about 0.020. So we're talking about a 100% decrease in the thickness behind the edge. That's why this knife kicks so much butt, is it's just so incredibly thin behind the edge. So Daniel's actually able to get more performance out of the M4 in the geometry of the knife, because M4 can hold just a much thinner geometry than something like the 52-100. Now the 52-100 is going to be a much tougher material, but M4 will just simply outcut 52-100. Again, just using some light pressure here. Alright, now really your flattening stone and the Naniwa here will really kind of do the same thing. But what this helps do is it helps clean your stone, yes, but it's also used to kind of help build up a slurry. And so we want to make sure we don't have too much water on here. It'll probably be just enough. And just use this in circular motions here, this Naniwa stone. Supposedly your Naniwa stone is harder than the actual stone, so it should wear the stone and not the Naniwa. So we'll try to build up a nice mud, nice pasty mud on here. You don't want too much water, that's key. You're feeling a lot of suction on the stone here. There we go. We can see that's all from the 3K stone here. Now, we'll go ahead and we'll just finish our edge with just some nice light stropping. Just really kind of clean our edge up. Take off any weakened pieces of metal. Really that light edge trailing motion with extremely light pressure. We're talking about just the weight of the knife, for whatever reason, only affects that weakened metal at the very apex of your edge. And it doesn't affect the underlying apex, which is our sharp edge that we want to keep. Alright. And again, this process is just much, much faster if I'm not freaking talking to you guys, so it's not that this knife takes 10 minutes or 30 minutes to sharpen. It's just that in order to explain stuff to you guys and do it at the same time, it's just inherently going to take longer to do. Feel our edge there. Let's go ahead and check. You can see that we got a nice polish on there on our micro bevel. You can see we didn't scratch the sides there either. Excellent. Alright, don't store your ceramic stones in water. You could store your other soaking stones inside there. This magnesia bonder just does not like the water. You'll actually just dissolve your stone. It'll develop cracks when it dries out. So your hard splash and go ceramic stones, they simply just set out aside, versus your other stones, they can soak inside the water indefinitely. Alright, let's go ahead and check our edge, guys. Let's see where we're at off this 3K, and then we can kind of troubleshoot from there. So let me go ahead and dry it off, because it's definitely harder to cut something with a wet edge. We'll set our strop back on here, because that's what we're going to go to next. Let me go ahead and grab some paper throughout this confetti mess. And here we've got a piece of paper here. And we can hear that's just much quieter than before at the beginning of the video. You can rewind the video for sure, but you can just hear how silky quiet that is. And we still have some damage, it looks like, in there. I didn't sharpen it out completely. But you know what? I think I'll just leave it. I'll continue using this knife. This is my personal knife. This isn't something I'm sharpening for a customer or anything like that. So I'll just leave that in there. Much, much quieter. Let's get that paper out of there. Cool. Now then, let's go ahead and just improve it some by just kind of refining it with a 1 micron. 1 micron is definitely going to be a much finer grit than your 3000. This is also a diamond abrasive this 1 micron stropping compound. Just light pressure. We don't want to crush our edge. We don't want to round it over. Polish up that remaining apex. Only slightly though. We're not completely polishing the entire thing to 1 micron. Remember that. You're only really touching up the teeth of the apex. So here we go. We're coming in. Stropping the edge. There's no counting involved, okay guys? It's kind of, you do it, you check and see where you're at, you troubleshoot from there. No offense on people that count the strokes and stuff like that, but it's not going to work for all the different steels that are out there. Alright, so let's go ahead and check and see. And it looks like we are cropping the hairs. Much sharper feeling. You can see that we're really catching those hairs. Just incredible stuff, man. This is why M4 needed to be on a Punto. Just no comparison here. Let's go ahead and check again on the paper here. Oh my god, just so quiet. A little bit of damage there. Oh, bad angle.